Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lady Parts TV, the podcast. And
hello.
And we have weird, unusual stats this week.
They're skewed for a reason.
Yeah, we only tallied 21 primetime shows, between movies and birthdays and Democratic debates and things. The number of episodes written or co-written by a woman, 16, which is 76%, which is the highest we've ever had. Mm-hmm. But directed by a woman, only 3, which is 14%, which I believe is the lowest that we've ever had. And the reason is the first show that we're going to talk about that was so good we had to binge on it. It was 10 episodes and we watched it in 2 nights. One of them was my birthday. That's how good it was. 5 episodes every day. And it was all written by the same person and directed by the same person. So that's kind of skewed.
The writer was a woman and the man was a director.
Yeah. So it's an Israeli show. It's called False Flag. And both seasons, this was the second season that we just watched, both seasons are on Hulu right now. And since many of you subscribe to watch The Handmaid's Tale, it's a great idea to see what else there is out there on Hulu. So the second season was created by 2 women, Maria Feldman and Liora Kamensky. And, I don't know that there's any point of me telling you who's starring in it because most of you will not know any of them. If you are Israeli and listening to this, Chana Azulay Asfari and Angel Bonani are in it. I especially love Chana Azulay Asfari.
Fabulous.
And it's about 3 families whose loved ones go missing after an explosion.
On an oil rig.
Right, and they are trying to figure out where they've gone, and all of a sudden they find out that their loved ones weren't actually who they thought they were.
Exactly.
And they seem unconnected, but then we find out how exactly they are connected. And a very similar, a completely different story, but a similar premise was the first season as well.
Right.
3 unrelated, I think it was more than 3 even, unrelated people, and then we find out how they were tied together in a criminal, mysterious thriller kind of a way. It was so suspenseful.
It was amazing. It really, really was. I was on the edge of my bed.
She almost fell over. It was so good that we really, really had to binge on it. And I think we would have watched the whole 10 if we didn't have to go to sleep and do some other things.
And it really keeps you guessing.
And changes with every episode.
And by the way, the explosion isn't on the oil rig. It's on a platform where they were having a ceremony.
Right, yeah. But it's related to the oil rig. And by the way, there is a lesbian storyline that is connected to the mystery, but it's also just, I think, a really good opportunity to explore. This was a young woman who left the Jewish Orthodox community, a very, very religious community, and she has to, because she's involved with this problem, then she has to go back to her old neighborhood, back to her parents' home. Chana Azulay Asfari plays her mother in a wonderful role, and I just really, really appreciated that side storyline as well.
Her mother was kind of a superhero.
She was. It was again, it reminded me like in Shtisel, where they always tend to show the women who are made to be these suppressed, meek, kind of hidden in the shadows people, and actually they are much more powerful.
They are the movers and the shakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. They're not tied to the Talmud all day long. They have a little bit more freedom to move about, and they are very brave. They have their own ways of rebelling, and especially when it comes to family.
Exactly, especially when it comes to family, and it's very, very interesting representation again.
And it's very female powered, very empowered females. In general.
You mean this season? This season. Yes, and I think it's not a coincidence. It was written by 2 women, and it's very central. It's very female-centric and very well balanced. The equality of the sexes, I think, in this show is, even if you take the lead character, who is a very kind of a balance between masculine and feminine.
Yes, he's a very good guy.
He's the main investigator. He's part of the Mossad, and he's the main investigator on this. And he carries he is carried from the first season into the second season. So False Flag is on Hulu, 2 seasons. If you haven't seen the first one yet, you should go and watch it. And it's just really, really, really an excellent Israeli show. I think Israel has been producing such fabulous television.
Really, really compelling drama. Absolutely. Now we have something completely different.
But also from my birthday celebration.
Yes, also from your birthday celebration. The documentary Woodstock, 3 Days That Defined a Generation. And let me just say right off the bat that it's really sensational. I have always had a lingering regret that I didn't go to Woodstock.
But now that you've seen the movie.
Oh, well, this is what I'm saying. This is my point I'm about to make. Listen, what they want to hear out there is not a food fight. They want to hear a discussion.
Of how we put food on their table? I thought I was doing an entirely different thing here.
Anyway, it's been a lingering regret of mine because historically it means so much to our generation and to the country, and it was such a turning point. It really was. But then I saw the movie, and what this marvelous movie does is, as opposed to other documentaries and shows about Woodstock, is instead of concentrating on the music, it concentrates on the people, and it concentrates on what a remarkable and transformative experience it was, and how illuminating it was to anybody who heard about it or saw clips from it, that 500,000 people who gathered on a field,
a muddy
field. Well, they had one day without rain, but a rain-soaked field with not enough porta potties, not enough food. There was no violence. Everybody got along. Everybody pitched in to help each other. The town pitched in to help the hippies. It was a little, Woodstock was a little conservative, upstate hamlet, and it was just beautiful. It epitomized peace, love, and rock and roll.
Exactly.
Really,
it was a manifestation of the reason that they even came there to begin with.
Exactly. It's a very moving film. It's very eye-opening. It really defines that generation of transformation, of trying to make the world a more loving, inclusive, peaceful place.
Putting it in the context of the backdrop to which on which this was happening, which was the war in Vietnam, and of course and civil rights movement, and violence, and this was them wanting to get away from all of that, just have a weekend of love, music, lots of drugs, and
and in fact I think most of the medical problems were from drugs.
Yes, and one woman gave birth.
Right. We had no cell phones or anything, so they used the stage as a sort of a central place to get up and pass messages. Sir, Mr. blah, 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 please come to the
backstage area. Yes, I believe you have a new daughter or something.
Your wife is giving birth.
The movie, by the way, is in some theaters now already, but it is coming to PBS August 6th. So if you don't get it in a theater near you, you can also just watch it on television when it comes on.
Also, I neglected to say it was directed by Barack Goodman, written by him and Don Cleese. And it's a wonderful experience. It's almost like being there, but you stay dry, you have plenty to eat, and you can go to a bathroom with a flush toilet.
Very well said. Woodstock, 3 Days That Defined a Generation. We highly recommend it.
Highly.
And now a heads up for a 7-part miniseries. It's going to premiere on Showtime Sunday, June 30th, and it's called The Loudest Voice. On the surface, what's that about? Well, it's based on the book by Gabriel Sherman and adapted by Tom McCarthy. And it is the story of Fox News, which I always say should be considered. I think that they should take them to court for misrepresenting themselves, because the Fox and News is oxymoron.
Well, they could put quotation marks around the word news.
Well, Roger Ailes is the founder of Fox Propaganda, and this is the story of the man who really has defined the modern Republican Party. You know, it's funny because somebody actually took me to task for assuming that all of our listeners are Democrats. Let me just put it out there: we don't assume that all of our listeners are Democrats.
Not.
We are just unashamedly putting our views out there. If you disagree, that's absolutely perfectly fine. Hopefully, there's enough content that you can relate to anyway in what we give out. But I personally think that since a lot of our listeners are members of minority groups, I think that the Democratic Party speaks more to their interests. That's just my personal opinion. But we're not going to get too political.
Not too political, no.
But anyway, so it's starring Russell Crowe, Sienna Miller, Naomi Watts. For you Guiding Light fans, Orla Cassidy is making an appearance in one episode, and it will focus both on how he became the de facto leader of the Republican Party, but also on some defining moments in his life, and most particularly,
harassment.
right, that eventually too late, but eventually brought him down.
He had already done quite a bit of damage, both to the country and to the women around him.
Of course, because for many, many years, the women didn't feel that they could speak out, which is probably why this is called the loudest voice. I mean, just among others, he had the loudest voice, which is the one that usually gets heard, even if it speaks lies. So it's bound to be infuriatingly excellent.
It's got a wonderful cast.
It does have a wonderful cast.
And Crow looks so much like him. I've seen some previews. It's creepy.
The makeup is really, really good. So The Loudest Voice is premiering on Showtime Sunday, June 30th, and I think it's going to be interesting.
Okay, women, if you haven't started this season's Handmaid Tale, let me just tell you to put on your big girl panties because you're going to need them. It's, of course, on Hulu, and there's a new episode every Wednesday. We're halfway into the season. We just finished episode 6.
And let me just say that the reason that we haven't talked about it until now, I feel, we haven't even talked about talking about it until now, was because I felt like we were waiting for something to happen.
Something defining. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when we had seen the trailers, to me, and I said this on the podcast, that it seemed like this is going to be the year, the season of the revolution. I said, June has a smirk on her face practically the entire time, and she does.
Yeah, she does, but not episode 6. That smirk was pretty well wiped off of her face.
Well, and also, I mean, as much as this show is so stunning in every possible way,
visually, it's unbelievable.
Visually, but the writing, the acting. I mean, there was a scene last night. I mean, we watched it last night, but this week between Ann Dowd and Elizabeth Moss, that just to me is one of those things that I'm like, this show is genius.
Yes.
But they're. I'm sorry, it's your turn,
right.
But I'm just that episode 6 kind of broke me.
Yes,
and
It was meant to, I'm sure, because hopefully now they're going to build us back up. This is what I'm hoping for.
Right.
That they broke us. It was so harrowing.
And it broke June as well.
So
it practically broke Aunt Lydia.
It broke June, but she still had a look of defiance on her face.
No, but this is what I'm saying, that it's almost like hitting rock bottom when you realize I can't just try to get along anymore. Even though not that she has been trying to get along, but this entire season she's been feeling, because she's been
empowered.
She's been feeling more empowered, but that also I think made her feel a little bit more complacent. And I don't think that I could take too much more of the darkness without having some promise of something happening. And I was thinking about my mother, because they just finally got in Israel the 2nd season, and she has been finding it very hard to watch. I think she stopped after episode 2, and she really wants to watch it. She said it makes her feel like she has a knot in her stomach the entire time, and she goes to bed and she dreams about it. And I was thinking, after episode 6, I should tell her, don't watch. Don't watch. It's just too hard.
It's too much. And especially with what's going on in our country.
Exactly.
And in other places in the world. But right now, more immediately, in our very own country.
Yeah.
this episode takes place in Washington, D.C., because they're...
We're not going to tell you because it might be a spoiler.
No, I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, they go to Washington, D.C., and if you think things are bad in Boston for the Handmaids, just wait till you see what it's like in the seat of power still, in Washington, D.C. It will curl your hair. It will... It's like someone will reached into your chest and squeezed your
I had to remind
heart.
myself to breathe. It was that, and I felt like I was going to throw up half the time. And I really, really hope that, because I understand that they're trying to make a very important point, and that it's not all going to all of a sudden, turn our way. But I need there to be some. This is the third season. I don't know how much longer they think they can go with it.
Well, they gave us a little bit of hope. In the beginning,
but then it went downhill from there.
Yes.
And again, we're only halfway through. There are 13 episodes in this season, and this was episode 6. I truly hope that something big happens, because, I don't know what kind of deal they have with Hulu or what kind of signals they get from Hulu as to how long this show is going to last. I don't see a show like this, as much as I love it.
Yes.
I don't see it lasting for too long, because how long do you want to live in an alternate reality that's so much worse than yours, but is not that far out of reach?
Presaging what could be in store for us if we don't win the next election.
Right. It shouldn't just scare you into waking up, to becoming woke. It should also inspire you and show you what you can do and what the alternatives are. So,
and speaking of that,
yes, exactly. That's a really good segue, actually.
Well, thank you.
And this is, again, if anybody wants to tune out, you're welcome to. But we are going to. We have to speak of a very important big televisual event, and it's the 2-night Democratic debate. The primaries, of course, are, now we're gearing up to...
Yes.
Yeah. And I have to say, I kind of like the first day of the debate, during the day, I was like, I'm kind of feeling excited. I have no idea why, but I'm kind of feeling excited. And then after the first debate, I felt more excited. And after the second debate, I was like...
We were practically, dancing around the room.
And the thing, besides the fact that really every single one of these people, even the ones I had never heard of before, really impressed me.
Me too.
I mean, of course, I wouldn't want every single one of them to be a presidential candidate, but I could totally see them...
But I'd accept any one of them over Trump.
Well, I would accept, a porcupine over Trump. But I would definitely see them somehow involved in political life.
Right.
Yeah. And
even those who aren't involved in political life, many of them are senators and
right, but some of them are completely unrelated.
Right.
But the women especially stood out to me. I mean, of course, some of the men performed very well.
Yes.
But to me, the women were the best surprise. First of all, Elizabeth Warren really met every expectation and beyond.
She rose. She was the cream of the first night. I'll tell you.
Oh,
she really,
the first
really
night,
was.
of course.
There was no doubt.
Yes.
Who was the winner of the first night? Though there were many excellent candidates.
But
I loved Castro. I love
Cory Booker was good.
Cory Booker was very,
Amy Klobuchar,
very good.
of course.
Klobuchar was wonderful. I love her. I was even surprised. I liked Tulsi Gabbard. I'd never even heard of her.
Right, she was very eloquent,
Yes.
and I would definitely like to see her rise in the political sphere.
She has great hair.
De Blasio, I've loved him more in that night than I had loved him for. I actually didn't really love him in his tenure as mayor of our city.
He showed himself to have a little fire in the belly. I liked that very much.
But like I said to you in the first night, it really is how I feel. It's like that they kind of asked the kids how they felt about it, and then they turned to the teacher to hear the right answer.
The right answer, exactly.
To speak to Elizabeth Warren.
And she comported herself with charm and dignity and intelligence.
And she felt the most comfortable. She felt like she had the most knowledge, and that she felt very, very confident in her knowledge.
And passionate.
And
her
always
passion was very apparent.
And her passion is always, and I don't think anybody doubts that her passion is always for the people.
But as much as I've always liked her and respected her and admired her, there was something about her that didn't sort of register with me as presidential, as... I don't know, there was something off-putting about her. That's gone. I don't know if she's been to media training or if she's just gotten more comfortable being in the public eye. But I just find her to be a pistol with a brain. Really and truly, she is so amazing.
And then, of course, there was the second night.
Oh!
Where, first of all, Kristen Gillibrand, our darling Kristen Gillibrand from New York.
Who has been just a wallflower up to now.
Well,
really
not actually, though.
No, I mean as far as the
public eye.
The field, as far as the presidential.
Because I'll tell you, she has been in political life.
In the
She's
fight,
been, up
to her eyeballs in the fight.
Yes.
She is a battler.
Yes.
And,
she may have a voice that make her sound like a little girl, but she actually worked on that. I think.
I was thinking last night she sounded much better, and also the thing I heard her say something is heck, and I thought, Kirsten, you're famous for being for having a potty mouth, which doesn't at all go with her appearance. So
I know,
but anyway, she's not going to be probably our candidate, but she really
and hopefully sometime in the future.
Yes,
she's definitely growing into
that.
But
if she doesn't become.
No, she's going to stay senator.
We need her in the Senate more than we need her as a vice president or someone in the cabinet. Sure. We need her in the Senate.
But of course, and I will get to Marianne because I actually have something to say.
Me too.
But of course, Kamala Harris, who was always our favorite,
always from the beginning.
But she's shown. She both shown SHONE, and she's shown us what she's capable of. And a big part of it is, as many of the news media
the commentators
mentioned, was because she's a prosecutor. Her attitude is so down to earth, so eye level, and yet
straightforward,
no bullshit, and yet
bullshit.
She's so knowledgeable, so confident,
so compassionate.
She's a good performer.
She's warm. She's has a great appearance. She seems very strong, and she's very likable.
Yes. She's so charismatic, and I just love listening to her talk.
Charismatic.
I just love. She's like down to the no bullshit. I'm just going to tell you, like,
look,
listen. I love how she kind of leans on the podium. It's like, listen,
you know.
But that's the thing. She's extremely down to earth, and she's down to business. And it's like, we don't want a food fight. She, of course, had the most memorable moment of the night. She had the most moving moment of the night.
That little girl was me. I hear there's T-shirts now.
It was fantastic. And what I have to say about Marianne Williamson, who, of course, came out of complete nowhere. I mean, not out of nowhere, but in terms of political life.
She's very well known in the self-help community.
Right. What I have to say about her is, of course, she's not going to be the candidate.
Never.
She should not be the candidate. But I would like to see, once she takes herself off the run, I would like to see somebody else like Kamala Harris, or like anybody else who has a chance, or in due time the president herself, to take Marianne on, because as a consultant of some kind, or as something in government, because she had a very important point. She said, you're all saying very important things about policy, but Donald Trump did not get elected because of any policy ideas. He got elected because he found a way to speak to some
people.
Well, he found a way to speak to people. Unfortunately, his way was fear-mongering, and that worked. Mm-hmm. But what she's saying is, the way we present our ideas, the way we talk to people is just as important, if not at this moment.
Ideas.
Right. And she has something that is unique to her own perspective, and I would love it if they could utilize that.
And she really attacked Trump.
She really did.
Yeah, she really did, and she did it
with love,
grace. With grace and intelligence, and also she was very no bullshit.
Well, yes, and I love that she provided the kind of the other side of the coin to everything that they said. I especially loved when they were all talking about healthcare. She was saying we're actually talking about sick care. Why are we getting sick? And those are all things that need to be taken into account.
She had a very interesting perspective. She really, really did.
Yeah, I would love to see her somehow involved and incorporated into the next, hopefully, Democratic
She was
government.
sort of an eye roller, as were some of those Hickenlooper and. Some of those people who you said, why
but
are
at
these
least
people
they got
running
to
for
talk
president?
Before the 30-minute passed.
mark, exactly. But I found that everybody had something to say.
Yes.
Of value. And
different perspective, completely different perspective on the same issue.
Yes. Surprisingly, again, as everybody has already said, we're not saying anything that you haven't heard on television or read in the New York Times. Joe Biden did himself no favor at this and really did realize after these debates that he is a voice of the past.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy. I love him. And if he becomes the nominee, I'm happy to vote for him. But I think we really need more of a firebrand. We need someone with that can go out there and just bite Trump on the ass and have him, running for the hills. I'd like to see Kamala in a debate with Trump and have him loom on her like Frankenstein's monster, the way he did on Hillary. Hillary had to mind her P's and Q's so much because everybody was out to criticize her
for everything
thing she did. Yeah. But I don't think Kamala would have any fear of turning around and saying, "Hey, buddy,
back off,
get in your own personal space. This is my turn."
Yeah. She's a firecracker. Yeah. I love her. She's a firecracker, but she has all the right knowledge, education, experience to back it up. So on that note, we really, really enjoyed both the debates. We felt exhilarated for the first time in a long time. And the next debate is in July, so we'll be waiting.
Well,
we'll
especially
be eagerly looking forward to it.
It's a good thing we had this debate because we watched it after episode 6 of Handmaid's Tale. So we really needed something to lift us up out of the muck of despair.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. ladypartstv@gmail.com. Email us at any time and let us know how you felt. Please, no angry political emails.
No. Well, your thoughts are your thoughts, and you're entitled to them, but we are also entitled to ours, and this is our show.
We're just exactly. So thank you for joining us. We will meet you at the same place at the same time next week.
Have a great one.
Bye.